Hi Bobcats, this is Miss Lee, and today's video lesson is on fraction and percent conversions. Okay, so we've been learning about fraction, decimal, percent benchmarks, how there are equivalent values for different forms, that for every fraction there's an equivalent decimal and an equivalent percent amount and vice versa. Well, we're going to continue working with these conversions, and we're going to break it down, and we're going to show you how to change a fraction to a percent or convert a percent to a fraction. It's what we call commonly FDP conversions. FDP stands for fraction, decimal, and percent. So the first conversion that we're going to talk about is fraction and percents. So make sure that you're taking notes as we go through this lesson. Okay, to change a fraction to a percent, we are going to write an equivalent fraction that has a denominator of 100. Okay, we've already learned that percent is out of 100. Percent is always out of 100. So if we have the fraction 9/20ths, we can't say, oh, that's 9%, because the 9 is not out of 100. The 9 is out of 20, and it has to be out of 100 in order to call it a percent. So we need to change that 20 to 100. So we do that, we say, okay, well, how many 20s make 100? We're getting bigger, so we know we're multiplying. So skip count your 20s, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 5 20s. So we would multiply by 5. We are making an equivalent fraction. And remember, what you do to the denominator, you have to do the same thing to the numerator. Since we multiplied the denominator by 5, we're going to multiply the numerator by 5. And 9 times 5 is 45. So that is our numerator. Our equivalent fraction is now 45 hundredths. Now that we have 100 as our denominator, we can write the numerator as the percent, 45%. And you'll want to put a box or a circle around your answer. And that's all there is to it. Easy way, change that denominator to 100. Now, I do want to say something. This number right here that we're multiplying by, this has a new term. Starting in middle school, we call it scale factor. Scale factor. It's like when you're scaling something. You're scaling it, making it larger, and we do that by multiplying, or you're making it smaller, and we do that by dividing. It's what we call the scale factor. So our scale factor is to multiply by 5. Okay, let's go to the next one. 4/5. So again, we can't say 4% because it's not 4 out of 100. We need to turn that denominator into 100. So your scale factor would be times 20. We're going to use the same scale factor on the numerator. 4 times 20 is 80. Now we have 80 hundredths. We have a number out of 100. We write that number as our percent. So it would be 80%. Okay, 21/35. All right, can we change this 35 to 100? No, you cannot multiply it. And I didn't say this, but scale factors should be whole numbers only. In 6th grade, we're only working with whole number scale factors. So you can't multiply 35 by any whole number to make 100. And sometimes that's going to happen. And when that happens, then you need to simplify your fraction. So 21/35, we can simplify both by dividing by 3. 21 divided by 3 is 7. 35, oh, I'm sorry. It's not by 3. Did you guys catch my mistake? I hope you caught my mistake. It's not dividing by 3, it's dividing by 7. Sorry. Dividing by 7. 21 divided by 7 is 3. 35 divided by 7 is 5. Now we can turn the 5 into 100. It's the same scale factor on our previous problem. We're multiplying it by 20. Do the same thing to the numerator. 3 times 20 is 60. Our equivalent fraction is 60 hundredths. 60 is out of 100, so that is our percent, 60%. Okay, next one, 12/48. Again, you cannot change 48 to 100, so look at your fraction, see if you can simplify it. And a lot of times what I like to do, if you have a smaller number, whether it's the numerator or the denominator, is just ask yourself, okay, is this 12 a factor of 48? And it is. So we can divide both sides, both numerator and denominator, by 12. 12 divided by 12 is 1. 48 divided by 12 is 4. So now we have the fraction 1/4. which is a quarter, so we can multiply this by 25 to get 100. Do the same thing to the numerator. 1 times 25 is 25. Now that we have 25 out of 100, we can write that as our percent, 25%. And then our last example, it's a little bit different because it is a mixed number. We're going to keep the mixed number, the whole number as it is. We're not going to change that. So the 2 whole will remain the 2 whole. It's the fraction that we need to change the denominator. This isn't 17% because it's not 17 out of 50. We need to change the 50 to 100. So the scale factor would be times 2. We use the same scale factor on the 17. 17 times 2 is 34. So now we have 2 and 34 hundredths. So yes, the 34 out of 100 is going to be 34%, but we cannot forget our 2 whole. We know that 1 whole is 100%. So 2 wholes would be 200%. So add your 200% plus your 34 and you get 234%. Okay, what about if we want to do the opposite way? What about if we have the percent and we want to write it as a fraction? Well, we make a fraction by writing the percent over 100 because percent is out of 100. And then you simplify the fraction if you need to. Super easy. Here we go. 30%. Write it over 100. 30 is the numerator, 100 is your denominator, and simplify. They both end in a 0, so you could divide both by 10, or a little shortcut trick is you could cross off the zeros. 1 0 there, 1 0 there, and you're left with 3/10 as your answer. 88%, that means 88 out of 100. Simplify. I'm going to divide both by 4. 88 divided by 4 is 22. 100 divided by 4 is 25. We cannot simplify it any further. That is our answer. 125%. Put it over 100. And simplify. I'm going to divide by 5. And 5 goes into 125, 25 times. 100 divided by 5 is 20. I can divide by 5 again, and I get 5 over 4 simplified. Okay, so it's really going to depend on your teacher. If it's just a numerical problem, I'm fine with you leaving it improper as long as it's simplified. But if it's a word problem, then you need to change it back into a mixed number. So to do that, we divide. 5 divided by 4. How many times will 4 go into 5? 1 whole time. Subtract the 4, you have a remainder 1. That's your new numerator. So it's 1 whole time, 1 remainder. The denominator doesn't change, it will stay the same. So either 1 5/4 or 1 1/4. And our last one is 104%. So you could put the 104 over 100, simplify, divide by 4, and you're going to get 26 over 25. Simplified, there we go. You can change it back to a mixed number if you want to. How many 25s are in 26? Just 1, so 1 group of 25. When I subtract 25 from 26, I have 1 remainder, and the denominator stays the same. And that's how we convert fractions to percent and percents to fractions. Nice job, Bobcats.